They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense.
King's Roulette, King's Club. Everybody passed the test yesterday, which was only an entry into the final King's Advanced, my personal game. I'm going to show it to you right now. I'm going to encourage you to ask any questions that you have about it. This is the one that you can go with now. It is also the next step to Keys of the Kingdom, which is a hybrid of this and the next step. But for now, we need this one, and this one will stand alone. This is a columns, chooses dozens, dozen chooses columns. This is the King's professional play. It has an added twist of basement play that you're going to see. It starts with $30, which is 3 units. It goes down 1 unit. It goes up 2, D'Alembert style. When it gets to the basement, there's a separate way that we do it. We're going to start with a column bet. And so we have a third dozen number, which puts us on a $30 bet. $30 bet on the second and third columns. We have a $3,000 buy-in. We're looking to make $450. We're starting with $30 bets. This is the opening bet on columns 2 and 3 because we had a third dozen which selected these columns. Please pay close attention, ask any questions. This is the serious time. Real money's going to be hitting the table on this. And this is the next iteration toward the release of Keys to the Kingdom, which will be a hybrid. Now, we're going to go forward. Please like this video. This is a really important one. This is the most important session you've seen to date. We're going to start right now. We're going to make $450. We're at 30, down 1, up 2. The 14 is in the second dozen, which always chooses the first and third columns. We go to $30 bets. We go to $20 bets. Yep. $20. I got the angel here. He has not abandoned me. He probably should have, but he has not. First and third columns, $20 bet after the opening win. The first dozen, that chooses the first and second columns. And now we're at a $10 bet.
That's correct.
First and second. And with the loss there, we're going to move the third column, chooses the second and third dozen, and we're going to add 2 units.
Should be 30.
To $30, right?
Yep.
Okay. $30, second and third dozen, chosen by the third column bet. We stay there because of the third column bet with a $20 bet, second and third dozen, prompted by the third column. Now, this is a second column win with the 35. We're going to go to a $10 bet because we just won $20. We're going to go to a $10 bet on
100%.
First and third dozens, because that's what the second column prompts. So did we just win at $10? We just won at $10. So here it is. When you get to the basement, it turns to positive progression 1 unit at a time. We're not going to sit there at that $10 and make $10 at a cut. So we're going to go up $10. When we lose, we will lose, the loss will be reverted back to the basement, add 2 units. It won't be add 2 units from the lost spot. It'll be from the basement. So we have a 9, which is the third column, which prompts the second and third dozen at $20, because this is now positive progression. It's positive progression now until we lose. We're at $20 second and third. We get the 17. Otherwise, we'd have been sitting there winning 10, winning 10, winning 10. We don't want to do that. We want to maximize these winning streaks. So that is a second at 20. We're going to go to 30 on the first and the third dozen. And I got the angel right here in case I stepped on my toe. The second column prompt the first and third. And there's a loss. Okay, so what we do is we add 2 units. We had 2
So
units.
basically, you start at 30.
We start at 30 because we're going to add 2. The start point is always going to be your original point. So we're dealing with a 21 in a dozen play, which is the second dozen, which puts us on the first and third columns for $30. But we picked up an extra $10 rather than staying in the basement. And that first dozen, 7's in the first dozen, so we go to $20 on the first and second columns. May have to write a little index card so you have it with you. No mistakes. That's the key to it. No mistakes. The 5 is in the first dozen, so this $10 bet that we have here, because we just won 20, the $10 bet that we have is still in the first and second columns. So we're going to go to a $30 bet in the second and third.
What did we just lose? Did we just lose at 10 or 20?
We lost at 20. So we got to go to 40. That's what you're saying.
Did we lose at 20 or did
We lost at 20. There's $20 loss.
So that would be a $10.
That would be a $10 bet.
So we go to 30 because you're up 2.
We go up 2 units to 30.
Yep.
And we're on the second and third. There we are. When you're doing this live like this, there's a lot of things to keep going in your head. Okay, so we were at 30, so now we're going to go to 50, and that's the 4 chooses the first and the second at $50. First and second columns chosen by first dozen. So the $50 win goes to a $40 win. The 35 is in the third dozen, which gives us the second and the third columns at $40. A lot of things to keep track of. It results in wins. Okay, so the first column loss there at 40 puts us at a $60 bet on the first and second dozen. The $60 win moves us to a $50 bet. The 6 is in the third column, which puts the $50 bet in the dozens, second and third.
You just win.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And this $40 bet based on the first column is going to go first and second dozen, $40. We're going to go to a $30 bet. That's a third column. So the $30 bet gives us second and third dozen bets for $30. And then now we're going to move to a $50 bet. The 8 puts us at $50 on the first and the second columns because of the 8 being in the first dozen. We have 2 $50 bets out there now. The 2 keeps us there for $40 bets. Down 1 unit after the win. First and second columns keyed by the first dozen. And with that loss, we're going to go to a $60 bet. Third column triggers, prompts the bet to be made on the second and third dozens. It's a $60 bet because of the loss. That's a first column, $50 bet, down 1 unit, dozens 1 and 2. Just keeps it completely random. It's rolling around. The $50 win moves us to a $40 bet. The third column moves us to the second and third dozen. Totally random, $40. The 32 is a second column bet. We're going to a $30, going down D'Alembert, $30. Second column does not do that. Second column does that. $30 bet. And that 22 is in the second dozen. So the $50 bet that's coming up is in the first and the third columns. Second dozen, first and third columns. The $40 win on the first dozen puts us on, the $50 win puts us on a $40 bet. First dozen, first and second columns. The third column loss puts us on a $60 bet, second and third dozens. $60, second and third off of the third column bet. We're going to go to an $80 bet in the columns, transitioning from the dozens back to the columns. This is an $80 bet. This is an $80 bet on the first and the third columns. The 33 keeps us on the second and third columns at $70. The 27 will keep us there on the second and third columns again, this time for $60. Staying in that third dozen keeps us on the second and thirds. We got a $50 bet coming up. The 15 is in the second dozen. Right? $50 bets. Down 1 unit. First and third. Due to the second dozen. The 25 puts us on a $40 bet. Second and third columns. We have a $30 bet now coming up on the first and the second columns. And we have a $20 bet coming up on the first and the second due to the 11. Should be $20 bet. $20 bet. The 11 puts us on the first and second columns for $20. The most random you've ever seen. So the 18 lost at $20 puts us on a $40 bet. First and third dozens. From the 18. Now that puts us on a $30 bet, and the 3 is in the third dozen, which gives us a $30 bet on the second and the third dozens because of the third column bet, and the columns are choosing the dozens. The $30 win on the third column gives us a $20 bet, second and third dozen. The 15 is in the third column. So the $10 bet comes in at the second and the third. It was third column.
What was the last number? I believe that was supposed to be
15.
So we should have been first and third. So we
15 is third column.
Oh, third column. My bad. I'm
Yep,
sorry.
that's all right. Hey, first time Angel's ever been wrong. We won at the basement. That's the $10 bet. We won with the 19, which is in the first column, which puts us in the first and the second dozen for $20. We're going positive progression now. We're not going to sit there and make 10s. We're going to try to make 20 right now. The 6 is in the third column. We're going to go to a $30 positive progression bet. This is the change. This is making you more aggressive, getting your money back and blowing up your buy-in. $30, second and third dozen off of the third column. Continuing to win. This is a $40 positive progression bet. The 35 is in the second column. We have a $40 bet. Now, whenever we lose, we're going to go to a $30. It resets to the original. It doesn't add 2 units to the current loss. We're going to keep that money. We got $40 out on the first and the third dozen based on the second column prompt, 35.
And you're done.
And we just blew through it. And you're going to do it too. This is the video. This is the session. I want you to like. This is the session I want you to play over and over again. I want you to take notes down. This is the way you're going to definitely become a serious professional player. It's taken this long to get to this particular stage. You can't start this right away. But this is columns chooses the dozens, dozen chooses the columns. You go all the way down. You win all the way down to the basement. You don't sit there. You come back out of it at 1 unit at a time, positive progression, growing your money.
And D'Alembert is 2-1. Absolute, keep it 2-1. Do not do anything other than 2-1, or you will get hurt.
The negative progression side, as Angel's talking about, is 2 and 1. 2 units after loss, 1 unit down after wins. When you get to the basement, a win at the basement, add 1 unit. A win subsequently, add another unit. 1 unit at a time in positive progression. No matter how high you go in your positive progressions from the basement, when you lose, you revert back to your beginning bet. You don't add 2 units at that loss level. You're going to keep all that money. No matter when the loss finally occurs, revert back. Whether you say revert back to 2 units above the basement, or whether you say revert back to the starting unit bet. Either one, they are one and the same. This is the most serious session we've ever provided, but everybody is so far ahead. This is Kings and Queens right now. We're going to release this right away, and we're going to release to the Kingdom tomorrow at the very first daybreak of the session. But even for everyone in the Kingdom, this is the one that's going to win for you because it turns the basement bet into a positive progression. It allows the columns to choose the dozens and the dozens to choose the columns.
It's also why we gave the Kings and the Queens the coverage sheet so they could understand the bet schematics when they're laying the bets, so they could understand how the wheel is changing and how the schematics are changing.
And this is how the Kingdom is rewriting how roulette is played. Because so many people believe roulette is played on sheer luck or it's played on probability. And it's not played on either. It's played on arranging the randoms to intersect with the randoms in a positive way of negative progression on losses, positive progressions on wins once you hit the basement. You're not going to sit down there and just make that bottom level money. You're going to weaponize your game. I know this is it is a little bit complicated, but it is something that is going to win for you. Take the notes, make sure you know exactly how to do it. You're allowed at the brick and mortar table. You're allowed the brick and mortar table to have an index card of notes. I encourage you to do that. Make sure you have your bet exactly right. There's no time limit. You can even skip a bet. Don't take a chance on making a mistake. Skipping a bet is always just fine. Heck, you can skip 2. You can go get a drink. You can do whatever you want. This is random numbers.
Even if you're at a high bet ratio and you need to take a break. I did that last night. I was at a high progression and I just took a couple minutes and refocused so you can attack. The most important thing is to get the bets right. If you get anxiety or you get, where you're not understanding what's going on, stop. You can come back. It's random.
Precisely right. It's random. So take your time. Make sure your bets are precise. Make sure everything is specific. Make sure you're at the right level. Make sure were we in columns, choose dozens? Were we in dozens, choose columns? Are we in the right place? And it will gradually become nice and comfortable, and you'll know exactly what you're doing. But this is the most important session you've had to date. And yesterday was just a precursor for this, which this is a precursor for release of Keys to the Kingdom, because Keys to the Kingdom is an added portion to this. We're going to keep doing this. This is the King's professional play. When we add Keys to the Kingdom, it's going to make it even more potent. And that's where we're going with all of this. So let's make sure we have this down straight. I want to hear from all the kings and queens that you fully understand it.
And we're going to be doing this a couple more times.
We're going to do it again the next session and the next session. We're going to do it and drill it and drill it and drill it. I used this last night at the French Lick Casino just as a further test before I put it out here this morning. And I just went in with a simple $1,000 buy-in, $30, down 1, up 2, just like that. I was there 45 minutes and I had 1,000.
160. Yeah,
oh yeah! Instead of making 150, I made 190. So I made $1,190. I made a $190 profit in about 40 minutes, and that was playing at the $30 level. But I was doing it as a test.
Well, and what they need to understand is one of the things that we understand about the kingdom is everyone doesn't have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and that's why I'm a low roller. I'm testing out the $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 buy-in ranges right now. Whereas King Harold is trying out the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 ranges for the higher mid-rollers. But this system that we are doing is we're ensuring that if you follow the betting schematics of the system, that you will be successful in the casino. And I encourage everyone to test it on their simulators. I encourage everyone to test it themselves, understand what you're doing, and that's it from the angel.
Testing it, so not to show whether it works or not. We know it works. You're testing it to sharpen your own skills so that you feel comfortable. You get into the casino. You've already done this before. You get in there becomes chatter. There becomes the distractions. The dealers are slow, as Raymond Green said last night. The dealer then slows the game down. They sometimes do. There are all kinds of distractions. This is the toughest competition you can have, and the faster you learn to ignore all the distractions, to don't engage in any of that stuff. Stay focused on what you're doing. Stay focused on the amount of what your current bet is. Stay focused on where your bet is supposed to go. Stay focused on how much you have in front of you. How much have you lost? How much have you won? What is your current status? Take notes, keep up, skip a wheel turn if you have to make sure you are precisely correct. And the final thing I'm going to say is this. We're going to do this again in following sessions until we drill it. And if you would, please like this one. This session is so very, very important. The likes are going up, and we thank you. We appreciate it so very much. We're going to keep working as hard as we can. We've got the angel working the low roller and me working the mid to high roller. We've got the perfect combination of a team, the perfect complement. And as you can see how he suggests to me and he moves things in and out as we go. That's how we fill the jigsaw puzzle into a pretty picture. Is we have two distinct sets of skills that we bring, and it's all brought together by a 35-year friendship and growing together through all the things that we have done. We're here for you. We want success. for us and for you. And for those in the kingdom who are going to be watching tomorrow morning, elevate yourself to a king, because we're going to reshape it. We're going to redefine it. Everybody else out there, they're not doing this. They don't know how to do this. We're going to show them too. For the angel, the king, bids you adieu.